Sebastian.
Love the blooper at the beginning of the first episode. It was just amazing. Because when I knew it was Ankit's side that messed up, and it wasn't my side.
What? Hey.
Because Ankit, you came back and you were like, "Why did your computer mess up?" And I was like, "I'm pretty sure it was you, buddy."
Shush.
I'm glad it caught the whole bug as well. The whole you kept repeating Equus.
It did that to me on a Seattle Across the Pond episode, like the last one, where it
Oh,
did the
no
same
way.
thing, but I cut it all out.
It was just a good blooper.
And it was just me going. Hi, Sebastian. Hope you're well. Hope school ain't too bad. Should we do? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flip the Scripts, an adaptations podcast all about your favorite adaptations. My name is Ankit and Madhira.
And I'm Stephen Nieman.
And this week, we are back. We are talking about the third book in the series of unfortunate events series. That's what it's called. And it is The Wide Window.
Yeah, something I realized halfway through this book, and I feel like so dumb about it, and Ankit hates me for noticing it. All of the book titles for the rest of the whole series, I think until number 13, have two words that both share the first. They're both alliteration. So The Bad Beginning, The Reptile Room, RR, and now The Wide Window, WW. And then next week, I actually remembered the fourth book, The Miserable Mill.
Yeah.
Welcome to our adaptation podcast. I'm really excited. We started this series of unfortunate events with The Bad Beginning, then only the Netflix version. After both of these episodes are done, so this week and the next week on our Patreon, Ankit and I will have a live reaction, not live like you can watch it live, but a live reaction of us watching the Jim Carrey version, directed by the same guy who directed Cat in the Hat.
I'm excited. I loved the live action Cat in the Hat.
You did not. I just watched it again last night, and it is the most biggest piece of garbage, but so enjoyable with a beer that I've ever watched.
See, here's the thing. I loved it as a kid.
I would turn it into a drinking game, but now.
I don't know how much I would love it now. I feel like I need to watch it.
We could do it for Flip the Scripts, because it is an adaptation. We could read the little Dr. Seuss books, and then figure out if we can make it into 2 episodes.
I think that would be interesting.
Should that be our April 1st, Flip the Scripts, in April Fool's Flip the Scripts?
We'll chat, but we've also just given away the idea.
Hey, people will love it. They love when we give away our own ideas. By the way, as a reminder, our goal is if we get 100 subscribers on YouTube, and we'll add Spotify now into it. So 100 subscribers, followers, subscribers on all of where our podcast is held, we will do the Twilight series. Just 100, and we will be forced to sit through 4 grueling books. I think it's 5 now, but 4 grueling books of the Twilight series.
Okay, we're doing the original series. We're not doing the new one, which is like Twilight based on the perspective of Edward, I think.
Yeah, but there's 4 books if I'm remembering correctly, but 5 movies.
If that sounds about right. Everybody did the Harry Potter trope.
Well, I mean, yeah, Harry Potter did the part 1, part 2 for Deathly Hallows, and everyone went, "Ooh, cash grab."
Yeah.
Okay, Ankit.
So The Wide Window.
Yeah. So, as in our episodes, when we do a series, we always have 2 fun fact times per episode because it's 2 episodes. But when we do a movie, of course, there's 1 fun fact time in the first episode and a question in the second. So, fun fact time with Ankit.
So, fun fact time. The episode was directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Okay, I'm gonna redo that one. Fun fact time. The episode is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld.
With 2 N's.
Two N's, yes. Sonnenenfeld.
I thought that would help.
Yeah. And writing credits are to Daniel Handler for the book series, based on the book series as Lemony Snicket, and the teleplay by Daniel Handler, and the story editor is Joe Kratz. So we're back to the main writing team on this one.
And I
The
think it kind of shows for the
Yeah,
most part.
I think
For
it
the most
does.
part.
I think it does. And the episode, you want to take a quick guess on what it is rated on IMDb?
I want to say the reptile room probably was better rated, so I want to say an 8 flat.
No, not quite. This is a 7.6.
Oh, well, I mean, I was right. The reptile room was 8.1, and now.
Yeah.
So, ooh, that doesn't feel good, though. I mean, I know they got a season two. It's not like when we were watching, I forget when we were watching, we were like, I don't know if we're going to get a season two because some of the stuff is just so bad. I think
I
that was
don't
Percy
remember at this point.
Jackson.
No, what was it? We were confused on if they were gonna get it, but then now that time has happened and I've like let it happen, and I have a new perspective on how to watch new things that are adaptations as well, especially things like that. Like, all right, cool. It might have been Percy Jackson. I don't remember.
You're a lot kinder than I am, sir. I literally sat down to finish the season one, and I can't. And I don't know why. I love Percy Jackson, but I literally just can't sit down and watch the rest of it.
Fair, fair. Different people, different things. Cool. So yeah, that's fun fact time with Ankit. That's all we got.
Great. Good fun fact time. I guess, yeah. And then usually we have a fun question time only connected to one episode when we do a film, but because it's a series, we do fun question time in every episode. So, my fun question for you this week is what's your greatest lake trip you've ever been to?
Specifically, lake trip.
Or, yeah, like, or have you ever been to like a weird town that is like Lake Lacrimose? Because it is a weird town. Or like, what's the closest thing you think you've been into like real life that can compare to where we're at in the story?
Allergic reactions due to lakes. Does that count?
Sure, that just sounds like a story.
We found out after 3 trips to the ER in consecutive years that I was highly allergic to maple tree pollen, coastal maple tree pollen in high concentrations.
Oh, fun.
And the way we figured it out was that every single time I went to Boy Scout camp, I would have an allergic reaction and be rushed to the hospital. And we couldn't figure out what it was. And then the third time it happened, we had moved to Washington State.
Uh-huh.
And so we were just like, okay, what's similar between Kentucky and Washington?
Maple trees.
No, it wasn't even that. It was just me going, hey, I swim in a lake in both camps. That's the same.
Okay.
And then they tested for things and found out that it's a specific maple tree pollen when it sits on the water and it gets like high concentrations in the water, and then it gets into my system, and then like my allergic reaction is a 24-hour delayed reaction to
You're a beautiful man, Ankit.
it. So I don't really go to lakes that much.
Yeah.
Um
So my fun story about a lake, I guess, like, so kind of I've been to a weird town that feels like Lake Lacrimose. So there's a weird town in California called Solvang. It's like a German village.
Okay.
So that one feels a little Lake Lacrimose because like no one goes there during the off season. But it doesn't have a lake. But when I was a Boy Scout, I used to go to Camp Whitsett, which is in California, and I used to swim the mile in the lake. One summer after doing the mile swim, I went home, and a week later, I came down with the worst case of swimmer's ear known to man.
Well,
Known to me. Okay.
there we go.
So it was so bad. And you know what the worst part about having swimmer's ear is?
All of it?
Well, yes, but you lose your balance a little bit. So I remember
Steven, you never had balance to begin with.
I lost all the balance I do have.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I remember I woke up one day and I was walking to the bathroom. And this was back in my old house where my bathroom was actually outside my bedroom because in my house currently I have a bathroom in my bedroom. Um, not like next to that.
I get it. Move on.
Yeah, it's an ensuite. That's the best way to explain it. But no, but I stood up and my brother and I used to share a room because we had bunk beds. And I woke up and he has a ladder and my ear that had swimmer's ear hit the ladder.
Okay.
You don't understand. Okay, I was in so much pain.
Meh.
And I almost passed out.
I popped my kneecap out of place.
We're just a two couple of careless boys.
In my defense, I was running and I fell. And then I fell down some stairs off some crutches.
Buddy.
And then my friend Brad proceeded to steal my crutches.
Okay, so those are some fun stories about lakes that Ankit and I had to share. I guess now everyone knows about our swimmers here and our allergic reactions.
I guess neither of us have had that many good experiences with lakes. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you are listening and you have good experiences with lakes, let us know, because I've heard they're really nice.
I have a good experience with like Lake Mead in Las Vegas.
It's less interesting.
My uncle used to take me out there and like we had like rave runners and boats and stuff. It's really fun.
Less interesting. Cool. Anyway, the episode.
Yeah. All right, so we're starting with Wide Window, Part 1. So really quick, just giving a little summary of what the Wide Window is about, because that's what we do in the Part 1s. So Wide Window is, again, continuing the story of the Baudelaire children, this time in a place called Lachrymose Lake. So they end up all in Lachrymose Lake under the care of their Aunt Josephine, and Hurricane Herman is on its way to Lake Lachrymose, and like in every single novel from Reptile Room on, Olaf will disguise himself as a person, and we will see him again, and it will cause the children much despair and unfortunate event.
Yay!
Shall we see what happens?
Let's go say hi to Herman.
Let's go say hi to Herman. All right, so Wide Window Part 1. Wide Window Part 1 starts very fun. It starts with Lachrymose news, and I thought this was hilarious.
It was fun. It was really fun. I didn't expect the news segment, and I was like, ooh.
Not in the book, but actually quite a good use of adaptation, a good way to give us some exposition without having the slog of the beginning of the book.
Yeah, it was a fun, new, ingenuitive?
Yeah, I think Ankit and I, like, the more I watch adaptations, to be fair, buddy, I feel like I'm okay with changes like that, where it's like, oh, no, it just enhances the viewership, because adaptation's all about, like, making the book, but for a TV show, and you have so much stuff you can do in a TV show compared to a book.
Yeah.
Show don't tell. So that's why I was like, oh, cool, this new segment, it just makes perfect sense. It's fine. It's really good. My issues with adaptation, of course, is just major changes, like when they make like egregious changes for no reason.
It happens.
So we go from the news to Damocles Dock, which Mr. Poe can't pronounce. And during the whole news segments, he's just
Mr. Poe pissed me off so much in these 2 episodes.
I get you. It was just so funny. I literally was like, this actor is just doing a good job.
The actor, incredible.
He knows
because I was so mad at him.
He knows what he's doing, and he's doing it well.
He is?
Don't ask him how he did it. He just did it. It wasn't hard.
He just was Poe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Mr. Poe gives them peppermints. And he's like, you're going to go live with your aunt, who's a dowager. And then they tell him about the taxi. It's basically the whole beginning of the book. It is almost word for word perfect to the beginning of the book. And I was like, oh, this is giving me some real good hope right now for the adaptation, because for the most part, the storytelling most of the time of these series in Netflix version has been very accurate to it sometimes.
Yeah, I would say that it's fairly accurate.
So then Violet says to Klaus and Sunny, oh, we're allergic to peppermint. So that's something new we find out in this book specifically, but also in the novel. I think it's really funny. We know Klaus and Violet are allergic to peppermints, but everyone assumes Sunny is also allergic to peppermints.
Yeah, and what if Sunny wasn't?
I think it would have been very entertaining if Sunny wasn't, and that was part of the conflict of the episode.
I mean, fair enough. There was enough conflict though.
Yeah, I know. But then Violet throws the peppermints away.
Yeah, this part didn't make sense because I was like, don't you need them later?
So there's a lot of things in this novel that have specific like order of events that just get ruined right here in this first episode. So her throwing the peppermints away, I'm like, uh, okay.
That
So how are
doesn't.
they gonna? I mean,
Okay.
we'll get there in episode 2 with Larry, but how are they gonna?
How are they gonna do the thing?
So okay, then we meet this taxi driver who's like, "I'm gonna take you up the hill," and I love this guy. This guy is just he got his job and he was just the taxi driver.
He
Really good
understood the assignment.
guy. I wish I could know his name. I forgot to write it down.
I will look it up. Keep talking.
Okay, so as they're riding up to Lachrymose, the top of Lachrymose Mountain, that's what I'm going to call it. That's where I'm going to call it that's where Aunt Josephine's house is. Her house is literally on the side of a mountain in the book. To me, the house always felt like it was more over the lake than it is in the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe, I don't know, they didn't want to copy the Jim Carrey version. Ankit will understand when we watch that version on our Patreon.
Okay. Sure.
But we don't have to worry about that comparison anymore because they've never made it to the Miserable Mill in the Jim Carrey version.
Woo! So
So,
the taxi driver, after he drops them off, Ankit has learned that his name is Rob LaBelle, and you might know him from his role as Crazy Eddie in the television series First Wave. And he has also appeared in many movies and TV shows, including Watchmen, What's Love Got to Do with It, The Man in the High Castle, and So Help Me Todd.
so he's doing it really well.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
That's good. So, I also really love the design of the house. Like, we get up there and I'm like, wow, it looks really, really good
Yeah.
from the
The house
outside.
is really cool.
So, we also then cut to Olaf. Olaf's in the middle of the lake, rowboating into town.
Fantastic.
But,
No
but
notes.
my thing was that was hilarious was I was like, oh, Olaf's rolling into town by himself. No, his minions. I'm gonna call them minions for a second. I know they're not; they're henchmen. But his
Eh.
minions are rolling him into town, and I got very Gru vibes.
I just was like, yes. He doesn't
I
go
just
anywhere
need,
without them. He's
I just
useless
need
without
one of
them.
them to pick up a banana, and then they're the minions from Gru.
Fair. Hey, maybe next episode. Maybe in the mill.
Maybe in
Uh,
the middle.
maybe the mill.
So then we meet Aunt Josephine. And I immediately I was like, okay, Josephine understood the assignment. The casting of these 3 episodes, 6 episodes, I guess now, have just been fantastic.
They have been very, very good casting.
I think that that's the high point of this adaptation. Anka and I usually always have one cast member we complain about a lot in these adaptations. I don't think we have in
No. Wait. I can probably find one. I'd have to think for a bit. You know who pissed me off?
oh,
Gustavo. Not Gustavo.
Gustav.
Gustav.
The assistant who was like
Yeah.
randomly in episode 1 or
That's
episode
why.
2.
That's the only reason. It's because his storyline didn't make sense. The actor understood the assignment.
Well, that's not an actor thing. That's a bad writing thing.
That's the closest I have to being upset.
Okay, great. So we learn about how Aunt Josephine's a grammar nut and a worrywart. Sonny's words, not mine.
Yep. Sonny's got some good one-liners in these.
Oh yeah, I wrote some down because they're just so good.
Good.
Then they go immediately into the library with the wide window. Now, this is something they do in the novel, but they like see the rest of the house first, and you learn all the rules of Aunt Josephine's house.
Pretty much don't touch anything. Everything can hurt you.
Yes,
There are the
basically
rules.
that's Aunt
Move on.
Josephine's. Yeah. But also, it's just really funny. So, we go right to the wide window. Now, the wide window to me was a little disappointing because
Didn't feel like a wide window.
yeah, but no, but also I think the wide window from the book perspective is supposed to be like this weird shape, kind of almost an eye, or maybe that's just the Jim Carrey version.
That might just be the Jim Carrey version because when I was reading the book, I just imagined the wide window being like the entire side of a house.
Fair.
Like her library is massive. Like it felt like it was the biggest library that we had seen other than Justice Strauss in the first book.
Fair. I just thought it was the wide window. We walked in there and I was like, oh, that's it? It just felt like three panels slapped together. It just
Yeah,
didn't feel impressive.
it
You know
didn't
what I mean?
feel as grandiose as I had
Could have been.
imagined it. Yeah. But I think on the same front, it does work for the house that they have that they're using for the set.
Yeah.
And it
So,
still fits the vibe of the house. So, like, it fits the set, just not what we had imagined.
exactly. We then learn about poor Ike. Ike was Josephine's husband. He's dead. This is all true. And how Ike died from leeches is, yes. And then, but also, then she goes over and she pulls down a big lake of lacrimose just
Yeah.
to show the orphans all the stuff. And this is my a second problem I have with this episode. I mean, I have problems with this episode, but that's like two of the main issues because now we're destroying plot points for the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just to be clear, the peppermint bag that Violet threw away is supposed to come back, and this idea of maps of lacrimose is a very big plot point in the middle of the
Book.
finale excursion.
Yeah.
Let's just say the last like 7 chapters of the book is just it feels like we're running at a million miles per hour.
Fair. Fair.
Um, Also, the fact is, Aunt Josephine as a character wouldn't have maps of Lake Lacrimose because she's afraid of the lake, and anything that connected to the lake would make her scared. So that's one thing she never wants to see again. That's why, like, so I think it goes against the character a bit because I think like her
Okay.
having maps, it's like it's cool that you want to show us the map, but like also could have been saved for the second episode in a different way.
True. I didn't mind it as much, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think I don't think that it should have been Josephine. I think it should have been like when Klaus and Violet are going through the library, they stumble upon it. So
Okay.
even if like it came in the first episode, because I don't know how you would incorporate it based on how they've cut the episodes. I
Yeah.
don't know how you would incorporate it into episode 2.
I mean, you just do what was in the book.
No, I know, but like the way that they filmed it, right, is
Okay.
what I'm going with, right? So
Yeah.
like the way that they've done it, I don't know if there's a way to do it in episode 2 with like keeping it the way that they have. But I think maybe if you changed it to Klaus finding the maps as they're going through, then it would have been like, okay, fine, like they're still leaving what it happens in the book, but they're moving it to an
Mm-hmm.
earlier time.
So Sunny keeps saying, Delmo and other words that don't exist because Sunny's a baby.
Wait, what?
But
Sunny's a baby?
oh my gosh, Sunny's a baby.
Oh, okay. I need a minute.
Oh no, everyone! We need to understand that Sunny is literally 1 year old. Aunt Josephine is like, Delmo's not a word, grammar, and she becomes the grammar teacher. She wants to teach them all grammar, which I think
Yep.
is one of the most interesting part points of this book. Um, then she's like, "We're gonna go have food," and they go and have cold cucumber soup, just as Mom used to make. Yeah, no, um. Now the children start to beg Josephine to talk about the parents and Monty. Well, while making sex in the context of the TV show, because like they met that lady at the end of Reptile Room who were like, why? Uh
Give
and
us
she was like,
answers, and
go meet Aunt Josephine. She'll tell you all the answers to everything you want to know.
Aunt Josephine ain't gonna tell you nothing.
But also like they don't know Aunt Josephine knows anything in the book. I just
Again,
okay.
it makes sense in the sense of the TV show. I understand why they need to change some of this stuff in the TV show, because you got to keep the retention of the viewers from the beginning. And if you set up a big mystery in the beginning, it's easier to keep people around because they're like, oh, well, we need to know what's going on.
Yeah. So then we cut to probably the my favorite part of the book. Like it's almost word for word. Josephine tells the children she's afraid of realtors. And which is hilarious. And we cut to narration by Patrick Warburton explaining the differences between rational and irrational fears. That should have been the question for this episode. I'm an idiot.
Too late now. You decided to ask me about a lake.
Hey, lakes were fun. That was on my mind. Okay. But rational and irrational fears, which are so much fun. Um, by the way, somebody had posted like a thing about their irrational fear online the other day, and I went, "This is actually completely rational." And I went, "Is it only rational to you because you're also afraid of it?"
The crippling debt of society.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Yeah,
Moving
sure.
on.
Just stab me in the heart, why don't you? Then, which I just loved it. I was like, love Patrick Warburton. Good job. This is right from the book. Like, really
Bada
well
bing,
done.
bada boom. Love it.
And then we see the Anxious Clown, which is a restaurant that I just love. I've been to like a restaurant that looks like the Anxious Clown, but it's not the Anxious Clown. There's a restaurant in Big Bear that it just reminds me of that restaurant. Just a random restaurant that has off season, that has like one person working there and like terrible food.
I've been to restaurants like that, mainly on like road trips.
Mm-hmm.
But like I can't tell you exactly like where or what the restaurant is called.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get in trouble for naming a restaurant in Big Bear that has terrible food. So,
Oh, fair. Well, maybe just don't go back there.
and then we learn about, then Count Olaf talks to the guy who's like working at the Aegis Clown. His name's Larry, and
Hi,
he's
Larry.
like, "Where's Snicket? Snicket's alive." And like they're like a secret organization. Right here in this episode, it feels so off. I don't know how to say it, but
Yep.
like
This scene made 0 sense.
I get that they're trying to set up for something that happens later in the novels, and like they started in episode 1 with a secret organization and trying to get people to understand stuff and kind of make another mystery within the book into the TV show that's not in the book. Right now, I feel like it's hurting the storytelling more than it's helping.
I feel like this scene specifically, like there wasn't a real moment before this where some of the mystery aspect and everything that they've included in the first few episodes of the TV show where I felt like it's absolutely just like taking over.
Yeah.
Right? This scene felt so out of place. I was like, where's the content? What is like what?
Yeah. Olaf basically bullies him and he's like, "I'm here now in Lacrimose and I'm going to take over the town." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah, fine.
But also, I think it's more fun not to show the magic behind Olaf. I'm realizing as we're watching this, like, there's something about Olaf just showing up as another character and not showing how he became that other character is more interesting and more dynamic.
Mm-hmm. I think like for this one, having this scene ruins a reveal later.
Exactly. Like, we shouldn't know Olaf's in town until randomly we meet him.
But like either we shouldn't know that Olaf's in town, but like we all know that he's gonna show up, right? But I think the other thing, like, and it ruins the reveal that when they go to the restaurant, how they did it in the episode,
Oh,
when
yeah,
they
we
go
know.
to the restaurant, like that's the situation that's happening in the restaurant, and I'm leaving it vague for purposes.
Yeah. But also, I just feel like at the end of the day, I know Neil Patrick Harris is like your star. Like, he is your name, right? I get it. But also, there is too much of a good thing.
Mm-hmm. There can be.
And I feel like Neil Patrick Harris is better served as a surprise in this episode.
Yeah, I think it would have worked a bit better if he was a full surprise.
Like, I love the broing bit to Lacrimose. I thought that was hilarious, but also you can cut that out too. And all of a sudden, we have more time for the children, the main characters of the book.
But we did have a good amount of time with the children this episode.
I agree. I'm still feeling like we're losing time between the children and Olaf. Like, you know what I mean? It feels like they're trying to do this really big balancing act where they're like, Neil Patrick Harris on one side, the three children on the other. Who's the more interesting one? From the novel perspective, the three children are. But from the TV show perspective, they're doing this balancing act, which I don't think works as much as
I
it should.
think it does work though, because you need to have, like, yes, in the books you don't know about Olaf, but that is one thing with the TV show. We can learn more about him.
I agree.
But
I
we can't
just
do no, but we can't do that if we don't have some of these scenes that allow Olaf. I agree that this scene is out of place and this scene doesn't make any sense, and I'm confused about this scene.
okay.
Right? I am agreeing on you on that front. Right? I agree that this scene specifically, the one where he sees Larry, that makes no sense. Like, why is it here? If you need this to happen, let this happen at a later time. Let it be like a flashback once you reveal the whole thing that's going on at the restaurant. Then let it be a flashback to this scene. So then we see, how did poor Larry end up in whatever situation Larry has ended up in.
Or just make a that works too. I just
Right?
like a reveal. Is
Just
it
like,
too much? I like reveals.
no, that's fair. But your issue is that, like, we see some of the magic behind it. I think we need to, because otherwise we don't have as much of a connection with Olaf.
I think it's a fine balance. This is proving that the balance is challenging.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying the balance is a challenge that the writers have to get better at.
I feel like they're doing a pretty decent job for the
Sometimes.
most part.
Yeah. I but you get where I'm coming from, right?
Not fully, but I like understand what you're saying.
I mean, we could agree to disagree here and move
I mean,
on.
I'm good with that. Should we move on?
Yeah, we can take a snack break here too. All right, we're
Okay.
gonna take a snack break, people. If you agree with me, vote Team Steven. If you agree with Ankit, vote Team Ankit in the
Let's
comments
be honest,
below.
Team Ankit's significantly better. The
I think
writers, look, because at the end of the day, Steven, if you don't like the writing, you don't like the original author. Snack break. Hello, everyone. I hope you are enjoying this episode of Flip the Scripts. Just a couple of quick things about the podcast and some quick life updates, and then we will get back into the show. First off, I want to just say thank you to everyone who has been patient. We know the end of 2024 and the start of 2025, we took a big break. We had a lot of things happening. Sebastian had to take a step away. Nothing against him. He's a wonderful, wonderful human being that we would love to have back. School got very busy for Sebastian, and so he wanted to focus on that. So we wish him the best of luck on all of his endeavors, and hopefully we get to invite him back to work with him in the future. But until then, Sebastian, best of luck with school, and we hope everything goes well in your future endeavors. Now, thank you all so much for just being supportive and listening to the show. It really does mean a lot. If you want to gain access to bonus content, we are going to be doing a better job of uploading onto Patreon, and you can get access to bonus content such as the notes that Steven takes, or sometimes the notes that I take if I'm taking notes for this show, or my notes for post finale, different things like that. You can get access to bonus content, bonus videos of Steven making me sit down and watch movies that I don't necessarily want to, like the live action Avatar. Things like that are up on our Patreon. If you want more content from us, it is available over there. Head over to patreon.com/coopforge. So that's patreon.com/co_opforge and sign up for whichever one of the tiers, and you get a special shout out on the shows as well. If you want to support the show in a non-monetary way, that is great. Thank you, first of all, just for listening to this episode. It really does help us out. Be sure, leave a like, hit follow, subscribe wherever you're listening to the shows. Leave a comment. You can now also leave comments on Spotify if you're listening on Spotify. So be sure, check that out, and it really does mean a lot to us and helps us out. Talk about us on social media at Co-op Forge CO_OP. Yeah, talk about us on social media, CO_OPFORGE on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can also follow this show specifically at Flip the Scripts Pod on Instagram, or just head over to the Co-op Forge Instagram and you'll be able to find it pretty easily because I tag any of the Flip the Scripts posts from that Co-op Forge Instagram gets a tag for Flip the Scripts. So that's another way that you can find that. So be sure to do that. And last but not least, just tell a friend about the show. It really does help us out more than you know. Word of mouth is the best way to grow the show. Maybe there's someone out there that loves reading or loves movies or just likes analysis and wants to hear two friends talk about some books that they grew up loving. Go check it out. It really does help us out a lot. So be sure, tell a friend, tell a family member about the show. It means the world to us. And thank you so much. Last couple of housekeeping things, and then we will get back to the episode. Just real quick, I have some gigs coming up. So, first off, I have a new song that is coming out in exactly 1 week from today. If you are listening to this on the day that it comes out, I have a new song called Sweet New Memories coming out on February 14th, and that is going to be available on all streaming platforms on February 14th. So be sure, go check that out. We'll leave a link in the description for you to pre-save for listening on any of the various apps that we listen to music on. And secondly, real quick, is I actually got an acting gig coming up. So in March in Seattle, if you are in the Seattle area, March 21st through April 5th, I am going to be playing Oliver in a production of Oliver with Reboot Theater. We will be performing at Theater Off Jackson here in Seattle, and we are going to have shows. We open on March 21st and we close on April 5th. So a nice 3 weekends of shows. Be sure come check it out. If you do come check it out, shoot me a message on social media or send me an email if you're coming to the show. Just let me know that you're coming. I would love to meet up with you all afterwards. But that is everything from us over here. We hope you were enjoying this episode, so let's get back into it.
Okay, and we're back after Ankit's one-liner zinger. And I know that the original author was part of the writing team, Ankit. That's the point.
He is the writing team.
I know. It's great. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe he's a better novelist than he is a TV
What's
show
happening
writer.
in the show?
Let's go back to the show. So we go back to the children, and Josephine has gifts for all of them, which is true in the book. But we're missing a gift. So she gives Violet a doll. She gives Sunny, I forget what a rattle. And she gives Klaus something else in the book. I'm trying to remember. In the book, she gives him a train. But in the TV show, they give him something else.
I don't remember what they even give him.
Klaus gets cards, playing cards.
Oh, is that what Sunny uses later? Okay.
Yeah. So Klaus gets playing cards instead of So Klaus in the book is supposed to get a model train. The model train is important because he gives it to Violet because Violet's really interested in the mechanical side of everything. Violet can then use that to kind of help her hobby. Klaus takes the rattle because Sunny hates rattles, and Sunny ends up with a doll to bite her head off.
Woo!
But in this version, the doll goes to Klaus, which is weird, and the rattle goes to the rattle goes to Klaus. Rattle goes to somebody. Rattle goes to Violet.
The gifts aren't that important. Don't worry about it.
The cards go to Sunny. No, it's a change. It's a change. I think that it's still an adaptation change. It is something to talk about.
It's a dumb change.
I just didn't understand the reason of changing it. Like, I just was like, is it that hard to get a model train set?
Yes.
Apparently.
They're super rare. It's not like there are model train stores.
literally everywhere in Hollywood. So there's also cans by the front door. This is the same. She's just worried of somebody breaking in. Also, Hurricane Herman. Oh, also, Josephine doesn't know about Herman, and I think this is hilarious because I thought she did know, but this leads to like the next bit where she's like, "We need to go to town and buy things," and then she leaves the children alone to go grocery shopping.
I was like, what? How? Huh?
So in the book,
She takes
Josephine is
them.
a bad guardian. Like I'm not gonna lie,
Oh,
Fro-
she's crap.
she's terrible, but she's better than nothing. Better than Olaf. We're gonna say it like that. Better than Olaf. I mean to be fair,
That's not a high bar.
that's the point, Ankit.
That's not a bar.
Great. It's better than nothing a bar.
Yeah, she's
Because
the bar.
Olaf's under nothing. Remember, like from the first, I think it's like the first episode where they're like, oh, this isn't better than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's Olaf, better than nothing, and slightly above that's Aunt Josephine, and then way above that is Uncle Monty.
Yeah. No, Aunt Josephine is the bar that sits on the ground.
That's a good way to put it. And I think Uncle Monty is like a 6 foot tall giant.
Oh, Uncle Monty is like what you gotta pole vault over in the
Literally.
Olympics.
Okay, 12 feet tall. Shall we say that?
Yeah, it's like 6.78 meters or something is the world record, I think.
For pole vaulting?
I don't know. I'll look it up. It just got broken again.
Really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
In the Olympics or what?
Oh, it's been broken multiple times over the past few years because the guy who holds the world record.
Does he just
this is
keep
the
getting
men's
better?
pole vaulting, by the way. But yeah, the guy who owns the world record gets like $100,000 check every single time he breaks the world record, and so he's just rebroken his own world record and it's right now 6.25 meters.
Wow.
But
Why does it feel like in my head, right? There was a YouTube channel back in the day that like literally the whole thing was breaking world records.
there are multiple.
No, but it was like one specific YouTube channel, and I'm trying to remember it. Like their whole stick was breaking world records.
I don't know.
Was it? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Okay,
But the current world record is 6.25. But he gets like $100,000 check or like some obscene amount of money every single time he breaks the world record. So every single time, because he's the only one that's able to jump that high, he just keeps breaking his own world record by 0.01 meters every single time so that he can just keep getting paid.
Hey, everyone needs a side hustle, So the thing is, right? The thing is about this whole moment in the TV show, which I think is weird, is Josephine leaves the children alone. Even Josephine in the book, as we just explained, her just being a little bit above nothing, wouldn't leave the children alone to go shopping. She takes the children with them because she doesn't trust them in her house alone.
Yep.
So,
but we got to do mystery stuff. So let's go do mystery stuff.
Okay. It was just a little weird. All right.
Cool. No, I agree. It was weird, but I think again, in terms of how they're doing the TV show, it worked. Doesn't fit with the characterization that we know of Josephine from the books.
No. So she leaves. Okay. Whatever. I was like, all right. So then they switch the gifts around and they're like, Sonny, you like poker. Here you go. And it just brought my head back to my favorite scene from that second episode where Sonny's playing poker with the hook guy.
Yeah. Still by far probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire show.
Yeah, literally. So they go into a safe that doesn't exist in the book. This magic safe that's magically in her room, in her library. And they open it up. And they break into it, and there's a few things in there. One of the things which made me die was safe crackers. Because they just cracked open a safe. And I went, safe crackers, haha.
It was a good joke. It was a good joke.
It was. I just was not expecting a pun in the middle of the episode.
Every now and again, you gotta have a good pun.
Um, then they're like, oh look, there's pictures of Aunt Josephine being strong and wild and all this stuff. And then they find a secret history book, and I was like, oh, that's new. I mean, we've seen the book before because I think like the book was in like Justice Strauss's house too.
Yeah, I think so, or maybe
Monty's as well.
Monty's. I'm not
I think it's just
completely
kept
sure.
showing up until this point.
It's been like it's been in frame, but hasn't been like vocally in frame.
Yeah. So the kids don't have time to open it because Aunt Josephine comes back. Just like that. So she went all the way to town and came all the way back in 5 seconds.
They're not the best sleuths in the world.
No.
It's
I
like
just thought it was
I was telling people yesterday as they were working on stuff in class, and I was just like, you need to be a better thief. My note to the kids would be better sleuths.
That's nice. But also, did Aunt Josephine just teleport? Because it,
Yes.
like, going from the house down the whole mountain to the town and then magically back with a bunch of limes.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, right? They wasted a lot of time. But like here's the thing is like you got to keep in mind like time has passed cuz they did the whole new food thing. They ate, they had all the
Okay.
changing of the gifts, they had to make the food, they put away the dishes, then they went to the library, then they did a lot. So like time had passed.
I get that from a TV show perspective, though. I just found it funny, and I was like, "Wow, Josephine's actually really quick." I could just imagine her running down the hill like Flash.
She didn't teleport, you just forgot that time had happened.
Yeah, or it wasn't clear enough. Okay, cool.
It was pretty
So
clear, Stephen. I don't know what more you want them to do.
be clearer. All right, so we.
They
No, no, no,
were.
no, 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 no. Keep going. So Josephine comes back with a bunch of limes, um, and then she talks about her old life a bit. And she's like, I met someone in town, and here he is. And Captain Sham walks into the picture frame. And instantly the kids are like, that's Olaf. And Josephine's like, Olaf, where? This is a trend that happens a lot
The adults piss me off.
in the books and in the TV show. This is like on bar. This is like, I can't complain because this is literally straight from the book.
Yep.
So then, but we cut back. I thought Captain Sham looked great, by the way. I think his disguise
makeup fantastic.
immaculate. Also, I love the peg leg.
Yeah.
A bit different than I thought saw it in my mind when I was reading. I saw it as more like a kind of a wider in and then down, kind of like an old pirate's peg leg. But also it just being like a cane leg, I thought was also very hysterical.
It being just the bottom of a cane, like what?
I thought that actually works for Olaf because how terrible he is as an actor, in quotation marks.
How dare you say that of Count Olaf?
How dare I say that about Count Olaf?
The man was Stefano.
Stefano, which we said I think 300 times in the last episode, was a good characterization.
We should have told Sebastian to put a little counter on how many times we said his name.
Somebody will figure it out. It's funny. Olaf never steps foot in Josephine's house in the novel. I thought this was really interesting, but it's okay. We're not meeting Captain Sham in town. We're meeting Captain Sham here. They've just changed the location, and that's fine. Same moment, just different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Olaf's there, and he's like, and then we cut to this backstory of how they met, and I went, oh, his cronies are a high school drama club because it felt like a scene from a high school drama play where everyone's like, and they're just like talking up Captain Sham, and she's walking through the town. I hear that Captain Sham is great. Captain Sham, Captain Sham, Captain Sham.
I did laugh quite a bit.
It was good. I'm not going to complain about that scene. I thought it was actually really well done. Josephine goes to buy limes. Captain Shamrock shows up, and
Bada
he's
bing,
like,
bada boom. They're on a date.
You want to have a fried egg sandwich with me?
Not a poached egg sandwich.
No, fried.
Fried.
I actually really enjoy a fried egg sandwich, and there was a really good place in Debden. I don't know if you remember, like it was Galati Cafe.
Oh yeah, the place that was like always but never open.
No, it was always open on Sundays and Saturdays.
Yeah, it was never open during the week, and I worked weekends.
It was open during the week because I used to work at. You know how like I had class at Murray Hall.
It was. I'm thinking wrong place. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I know the place. Yeah.
I mean, it literally was up the street from both of our places where we
Yeah,
lived.
no. My brain. You said Debden, and yes, valid. My brain said New Cross.
Oh, no. No, Debden.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about. That place was lovely.
Yeah, Galati Cafe. They had a really good fried egg sandwich, and I walked in one time really hungry, and I was like, "Can I get a fried egg sandwich on a roll with like a hash brown?" And the lady was like, "Yeah, give me a pound, and I'll make it for you." And I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Usually it's two, but because we see you all the time, we'll give you for a pound." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I kept coming back for that fried egg sandwich sometimes in the morning because it was just so good. Like especially on the days where I'm like, "Oh, I have some extra money from working at the pub that I need to get rid of,"
I got
and
a tip.
yeah, literally. Sometimes you get cash tips in England. A lot of times you don't because people don't cash tip out there.
People don't tip out there.
So when I started working at the Drayton Arms pub, like because that switch over from when I moved to New Cross with you, I got more tips there just because we had an influx of Americans. I guess Chelsea's just a very like visited place.
Yeah,
Like I
it
think
is.
like what it was weird to me. I didn't understand. Maybe for me as an American, I don't understand where people go to stay when they stay there.
Okay, do you want to know what's wild? And Americans, if you're listening to this, if you go to another country and you decide to tip them in the local currency.
Yes, that is also true because I've had people tip in dollars.
I've had people tip in American dollars. Like when I worked at Mamma Mia, people tipped in American dollars, and then they would come and find me or Zakis because we were the only two from America that worked there.
Yeah,
And they just come and give us the tip. Like they'd be like, "This is useless to me here," and would just give us the money. Like they wouldn't even ask for anything. It's like, here's $5, I guess. Like it's $3.50. It's not even like you can buy me a drink and we'll be good. Like no, like here's $5 that might be useful for you in like 3 years.
here's an Abraham Lincoln. Enjoy.
But like, just tip them in the local currency if you're gonna tip them.
Okay, so cutting back to the TV show. Sorry for the break, everyone. I just remembered a fried egg sandwich. That was delicious. If you're ever in England, that's definitely like the best breakfast in my opinion, other than a full English vegetarian style. Because Ankit and I both don't eat pork.
Yeah, the full English vegetarian, very good.
Very good. I mean, I love a tomato on the grill with some beans. Oh, beans for breakfast. Don't knock it till you try it, everyone.
Look, I will say the English don't get food. I appreciate a good English breakfast.
I think some of the best food I had in England was going to other cultures.
Oh, 1000%.
Oh, that Indian food place you took me with your parents, by the way, is still on my mind. That place was so good.
Lovely. Maybe we should finish up this episode.
Okay, we can talk about food later. Now I'm getting hungry. Great. Okay, so there's Olaf gives Josephine his business card and the backstory, and there's a grammatical error on it. It compares its and its, by the way, apostrophe s, and without apostrophe, one is ownership and one is it is. Obviously, the one with the apostrophe is it is, and the one without the apostrophe is ownership.
Yeah.
I explained that to a kid the other day, and their eyes got really wide because they're like, "I've been wrong for 7 years," and I went, "Okay, you're only 12," and they went, "Yeah, I learned this when I was 5, but I've been doing it wrong since then."
You know what? Fair. Grammar's
I was
confusing.
like, the fact that you remember learning it from when you were 5, I'll give you credit for that.
Yeah, I explained to a kid what sadness was the other day.
Oh. A kid yesterday came into my room and he told me that his parents he was in a lot of trouble because he cussed out a teacher, and I was in charge of the detention room
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yesterday. He came into my room and he was like, "I'm really sad." I went, "Why?" He's like, "I'm really in trouble and my parents are probably gonna break my PS5." And I went, "Okay, first of all, why do you want a PS5? Because you're only 12. Second of all, why?" He said, "Well, last time I got in trouble, they threw my Xbox in the pool." And I went,
So
"Oh."
back to the episode.
Back to the episode. I'm sorry. Hey, we haven't talked in a while. This is fun. So we learned that's how they met. They're gonna go for a date, and then we cut back to the episode, and I love it because Sunny said something here that just made me pause the episode and die for a good minute.
And it
Sunny told
was
Olaf to go jump into a lake,
yay.
and I just died.
Fair.
And Olaf didn't understand her, but I felt if the hook guy was here, he would have laughed because he would have understood Sunny because he's the
Oh
only one who
yeah.
understands her.
He's the only one that understands what Sunny's saying, other than
Exactly.
her brother and sister occasionally.
Yeah. Um, fried egg sandwiches, I said, are a weird addition to the TV show. They don't go on a date in the book, but I just thought, you know what? It's fun. It's a funky food to go on a date for. Why not?
Why not?
Then they're like, okay, we need to stop Josephine. We're gonna follow them to their date because they left for the date. And Sunny's like, we should take an Uber. And I die. So Sunny has this ethereal thing where it's like, where are we? But Sunny knows about Uber.
Sunny is just don't question Sunny.
Yeah, that's what I've learned from this episode. You can't question Sunny.
Sunny is all knowing and a baby.
All
At the
knowing
same time.
baby. I love this.
Sunny is an all knowing baby.
The cronies stopped them from leaving the house, which is new because the cronies are just watching the house, and I thought, oh,
Okay.
okay, makes sense. And then like Klaus starts to complain that he's like, Olaf's gonna kill her and all this stuff. And I just wrote Klaus is more whiny in this version than he is in the book.
I think it's specifically this episode.
Maybe it's just this episode, but like it just made me go, I don't think he's that whiny in the book.
He usually isn't.
No.
I think it's just this episode because he's not even this whiny in the next episode.
And then we cut back to the date with Neil Patrick Harris singing a shanty, and I was like, oh, this is fun. So he sings a sea shanty while they're driving in a taxi. The same taxi driver, by the way, from the first bit of the
There's
episode.
only one taxi driver.
Oh, and he's great.
He makes bank.
Then we cut back to the parents, and I'm like, oh, I forgot they existed. We've been so focused on like everything else.
So they're doing it well. That's what that tells you. They're doing it well. You don't want to focus on the parents. You don't want to remember that they exist.
But also, I just don't like those. I've never liked the parent scenes in all 6 episodes.
Right, but again, it's because of I feel like you're stuck in this bias a little bit that like you can't know about it until you know about it in the book. But when you're making an adaptation, you do need to keep the retention, and the bigger mystery is what's going to keep people to coming back.
I'm not complaining about the bigger mystery. I just don't like the parent scenes. I just feel like not as an adaptation choice. I just don't like them.
Oh, you just think that they're just bad scenes?
It's just boring to me most of the time.
Okay, fine.
To me, they're not intriguing enough. Where I'm
That's
like watching them, I'm watching them going, oh, if the parents are alive, which is something that the TV show is telling us, either A, then there's no point to any of this, and it just feels like it has this feeling like the main action of the book is the parents die in a fire, obviously, and that sets them on this unfortunate events. Having them alive feels like it goes against something of the book at one point of myself, and I get that's my bias point, and that's fine. My other point is every time we get to those scenes, I'm like, no, I'm more interested in what's happening with the children right now, can we focus on the storytelling that's happening, and we're going away from the storytelling to introduce another element that sometimes falls flat to me in some of the episodes. It doesn't always,
That's
but I
fair.
feel like sometimes it does.
Okay, fair.
Then the parents are cracking a code somewhere. I think they're still in Peru, if from
I don't know.
what I remembered. Where are we?
With the parents, I have no idea. With the kids, like Rackham
Which doesn't exist, but yes. Then the discovery of Josephine's death and ransom letter. So the kids walk down the stairs again to find another death of a guardian.
She threw herself out a window.
Yay! And then we go off the cliff, and I went, it's a real cliff ender this episode.
All right, what'd you rate it?
Oh yeah, I forgot we rate them. Fuck. Dang. Um, Also, we learned that Josephine's actually not dead at the end of the episode because of narration, but Josephine will die sometime in episode 2.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, as a TV show, this episode, I was entertained. I think that the episode felt so quick. It was only 40 minutes. I just felt like it went from idea to idea without anything really settling. So I think it needed a moment of settling for the old ideas all to work. So as in that case, I think it's a little lower than my usual ratings of these episodes because I've been really positive about it. So I give it like a 7.5 maybe.
That's roughly what I'd give it as well.
And I think it's just because it goes too quick. I think they had the time to do an hour episode. They could have added 15 minutes and told more of the story. It just felt like they wanted to just get through every single idea as quick as possible without letting most things land. Sunny was hilarious. The taxi driver is great. The actors are doing a fantastic job, but the storytelling element of we're gonna rush it and do only 45 minutes of an episode where you could have done an hour just felt. It's the same thing we talked about with Percy Jackson.
Yeah, I don't feel like this really falls into that trap. I think they got everything, but I do agree that like some things just didn't land. But I think that for this episode, I think they hit the right timing.
Yeah.
Because then the other option is letting it would potentially drag.
And that's kind of the balance, right?
And
We've
it's the
talked about in
balance. So
films where
I
they
think
take
they
a
did
long
a
novel
good
into 2 hours.
Yeah, I think they did a good job though with this episode. Overall, I just didn't enjoy it as much as the other episodes, which is
Fair.
fine. That's going to be the case with TV shows. There are going to be some episodes that you don't like as much. That's okay.
So as a comparison of adaptation of half the book, I mean, it doesn't even feel like half the book because Josephine dies in like chapter 3. So as an adaptation of the first 3 chapters of the book, really, I mean, yeah, they do a good job. Maybe like a 7.8,
Yeah,
0.98.
I'd give it like an 8.
Yeah.
Solid. One scene felt really out of place.
To me, because Josephine like fakes her death in quotation marks so early in the novel, it feels like you're reading it and then all of a sudden there it is. It's like that's not even half the book in the novel. So
It's like a third of the book.
I think it's really hard in this novel specifically.
It's later than you're saying that it is. It's not like chapter 3.
No, I agree with you. I think you're right. It is third of the book, but I think it's really hard to find another point to like halfway it.
There isn't another
like
point to have
Monty's death in the reptile room, that made sense the half point, but then Monty's death actually happens later than half of the book. So like the first episode was longer than the second episode. So it is a very interesting conversation to have. Is like, okay, what is, you know what I mean? Like it's that interesting conversation of like taking a novel, finding that perfect halfway point to do a cut.
Yeah, I get it. I think they found the right point. They cut it in the right place. There's no other place that you would cut this one.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Are you enjoying this so far? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. We'll see you later.
Bye. This episode of Flip the Scripts. Flip the Scripts is created, hosted, and produced by Ankit Madhira and Stephen Nieman. Our editor is Sebastian Holich. The art is by Kshitija Madhira, and the music is by Sebastian Holich. If you like the video, you can click to listen to the next part, or if it's not out yet, you can find one of our previous episodes.
Or if you want to check out some of our other content, here's a fun video from another one of our shows.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, comment, and hit that bell icon to get notified of all of our content when it releases.
Subscribe to our Patreon if you want bonus content.
Links to all of our social media and Patreon are in the episode description down below.
Thank you for supporting our content. Come back next week for more shenanigans from Co-op Forge.
New episodes for Flip the Scripts release every Friday, Seattle Across the Pond every other Thursday, and post finale every Wednesday. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye now.